for the update. But as far as NICTD and our members of NICTD, there needs to be much more accountability. So here's the first thing that I want to talk about that happened. Mike Repay completely backstabbed the Munster, they're not Munster, they're the Concerned Families of the Westlake Corridor Project. There are members in Hammond, there are members in Munster, and there are members in Michigan City and LaPorte. But Hammond and Munster is where Mike Repay, the people Mike Repay represents.
Yes.
Okay? So Julie went to him to discuss her concerns with the fact that they were going to take homes before they got a full funding grant agreement.
That's what, yeah.
And she went to the county commissioners meeting and she addressed him, at the meeting, and then he talked to her after the meeting, and she asked him, will you support us in getting a resolution to say that NICTD should not take homes until after a full funding grant agreement is executed?
Yes.
And so what he did is, apparently he forgot who he works for. He backstabbed them, and he went to NICTD and passed a resolution pushing forward the condemnation of houses, the eminent domain. So that very next meeting, they made sure that they had board approval to move forward with buying and demolishing homes.
Before anybody else got in a lawsuit in there and got sort of injunction in there or cease and desist or whatever the legal is for is.
Or a town council maybe could pass a resolution saying hold off on taking homes until you know for sure you're getting the grant. No, NICTD pushed forward, and we think because Mike Repay backstabbed the Concerned Families of the Westlake Corridor Project, they pushed this through.
May I throw in again? You mean there's a group, I literally used these words earlier in the show. You mean there's a group of zealous people that want to get something going to get it done even before they get money? Just like the tracking at the railroad track at the airport, which they hadn't even talked to the guys yet. We're going to get you over on here because we got to lower this thing. Town theater, everything is.
Yeah, how much can we spend on consultants and everything
ourselves?
else?
Again, let's get the napkins out and the forks and the knives and the glasses. Don't worry about the meal. We got all this ready though.
Except that in this case, they're multi-million-dollar napkins.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's all taxpayer money.
I'm not. There's people whose home is their home, and that's it. They're going to be at least a percentage out of what's the number? 200? Are we houses? Whatever.
174, I think, was the number they had, and then they said they may have reduced it down from there. 150.
Somebody ain't
Let's
going
say 150.
quietly. I'm going to tell you that right now. Someone's not going quietly. So I suggest you folks that like to throw your eminent.
Well, Richard Daley's Cassandra Francis, who they put in charge of the real estate acquisitions, Daley's old employee who's in charge of the real estate acquisitions, she claims that people just love her when the process is all done because they're just so happy with how the process went. That, we still have houses that were torn down and the land sits vacant now over where the Piatone Airport was supposed to go.
Right.
That's one example. We can go through other examples throughout the country, but this is one right here, where they tore down a bunch of houses. They were going to put in an airport, and now that land sits vacant and $0 in taxes.
And why are we not surprised the resolution took place? Let's talk about a snapshot of value of these properties. Again, as a former banker and loan officer, property values are on the rise.
Absolutely.
So people that took a hit from 2008 may not have even made up their way yet when they bought into this house. We don't know if they're upside down, where they're at, what they borrowed. Maybe people, again, you're forcing people out at a time that it might be an investment to them. Your home is your biggest investment most of the time.
Absolutely.
You're going to kick me out before I even got back to even. I think my property's going to be worth $20,000 more in 5 years or whatever it is. NIPSCO, flew over the downstate Republicans and pointed down at these people's homes.
That's the blight. That's the blight. Here's your blight. Thanks, NIPSCO, for doing that.
Some of those houses are pretty darn nice, but again, you got to have people to move into them. I get that part. You need the money to get invested, but.
So let's talk about the second part of the issue now. So this morning, and I want to challenge Mike Repay and Christine Sid to either come on these airwaves, to write to me, to write to the Times, to go on,
Christine Sid,
to go on
she
some,
is the voice of the people. She's
to go
always
on
out there talking to
some public
That was like 5 years
means
ago.
of expression. You can sit at home on your own Facebook Live. I don't care. But I want you to answer these questions for the people. And Mad Matt called in with two very good questions this morning on the Mayor's Show. And number one was...
Too bad he's unwilling to wait for an answer. Is that how it sort of goes? Okay.
Yeah, but I want the answer from Christine Sid or Mike Ribe, who, by the way, know much less about this project than Chuck Pullen or Julie O'Connor or Pam Eanes or a host of other people, because they don't care. They are sitting there to vote the way Mark Lopez and Pete Visklowski tell them to vote. And you know what? The people deserve better representation. If you don't want to do your job, get off that board. Because we need to replace you. If you are going to sit there and you're going to be on that board and you're going to rubber stamp everything, come election time, the people are going to know that they have to put somebody else in that position.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, this situation with backstabbing the people is just unacceptable. It's exactly what he did with the income tax, and then he tried to have all these excuses. But look, Leopard hasn't changed his spots. He did exactly the same thing that he did to the people of all of Lake County with the income tax. Yeah. He did exactly the same thing, backstabbed them in exactly the same way.
You're saying something, and I agree. I understand your vim and vigor. He got reelected, bro.
Well, he got reelected because he teamed up with Cantrell and he sandbagged us with a third Hispanic candidate.
That's not going to happen again. It's going to absolutely happen again.
It's not going to happen again because this time we know their games, and it's not going to happen again.
Well,
Trust me.
See. All right, good spot. We got to take one more break.
One more break, and then I got the questions. We got to get them out.
We're going to come back with the Mad Mac getting teased. Mad Mac's excellent questions that he decided to answer on his own. And
I'm not sure about his answers. I tried to get, you know.
We'll get to the questions in a moment.
And so there's the question, and that's the question. How do we get information about this? And that's why I want to challenge Mike Ripe and Christine Sid, the two people who represent us on this board, to come forward in any public way that they want. Okay, to show me that you have even the most basic understanding of what you're supposed to be doing while you sit there, because I really don't believe you have even the slightest concern or understanding about a $2 billion project.
You prove that with the sneak construction, right? It was just right.
Absolutely.
I don't know what they're doing. It's like $50 for a blade of grass. Okay, I don't know what they're doing, but the numbers are outrageous, and I'm telling you, this Bunsich thing should be looked at all up and down.
Absolutely. How is the Sneed thing with no dumpster and $1,000 campaign contribution any different than what Sheriff Bunsich is at that federal courthouse for? Okay, you want me to get excited about it? Look into that, Nathan Holbrook. Okay, please look into that and tell me how that's any different than John Bunsich sitting there taking cash under the table. Right?
Well, sort of.
I mean, at least it wasn't the very next day that he gave it to him. You know?
Right. I mean, the next day, and then you know, I mean, you proved that literally the contract started right after the check cleared.
Right. Absolutely.
All right, go ahead. Send the sneak. All right. Check cleared. Take it to the bank that it was drawn on. Never deposit in your own.
Yeah.
If you know how to do that. It's nuts, man. I'm telling you. So, we need more people to listen. So, folks that listen to the show,
get other people listening.
Get other people listening. Get other people talking. We are a whole weekend chit chat.
I will tell you this: we are going to talk about Mike Ripe and the contracts that he signs from now until he's voted out of office. And I don't care if it's 30 years. You know, either I'm not going to be on the radio anymore, or we're going to be talking about everything that he does, the way he backstabbed those people, his own constituents in Munster. You know, because Mark Lopez told him to. That is just unbelievable.
All right, now see, that might be something that might keep throwing you in get you thrown in the circle. The circle of MX. The circle of
beef jerky.
Right, there you go. Right on. That's an extra, I'm 51. That's all I'm going to say. All right, now.
Regardless, so with regard to the questions that need to be answered, okay, Madback brought up two really good questions, and I hadn't even thought about them. Number one is, how much time are we saving for $300 million? And that means how many times per day or per week or per month do the current South Shore trains get delayed in that area where they're double tracking? So we know that it's already double tracked in Miller. Freight has their own line in Miller. So there should be zero delays based on freight interference there, but if there are, that's fine. Okay? Now, these are questions that you may not be able to understand, Mike Repay and Christine Sid, because you really don't understand trains much. You just sit there and listen and vote yes on everything. So you may have to go to your buddy Mike Nolan for answers on this, okay? I would think you could answer this at this point because you already voted for the $300 million project about 20 times. But nonetheless, you can phone a friend on this one, okay? So
we got a minute, man.
All right. So the first question is, how many times in the past 6 months have the trains been delayed in that area that you claim we need to spend $300 million to double track? Okay. Second question is, how will this improve safety on the line by double tracking east of Gary downtown? All right. Now I have another question. How did this project go from $100 million to $300 million in the past couple of years? And the Westlake extension hasn't increased in price at all. I mean, if I'm making spaghetti, right, then
you make bow tie pasta,
right?
It's the same.
I don't expect the bow tie pasta to, the spaghetti doubled in price, but I'll just switch to bow tie pasta.
Right there, you go. I just bought some, by the way. I'm making Alfredo at some point.
And then my last point about this is, if you have a 100-year-old car, how much money really are you going to put into it? There is a proposal to put high-speed rail through the area. And for $2 billion, I really think we could get a lot of better options. I don't even think the Hyperloop would cost $2 billion.
We could get a lot of things. And that's time saver. You're going 200 miles an hour. Am I right? Magnetic deal? 200 miles an hour?
Whatever it is, I don't know. But I don't think it would be as expensive as this. Here's the thing. You get this groupthink. You get committed to this crazy project, and then you can't think of anything else.
Oh, right. That's what. Who was Mars' replacement or the Bill Fine?
Yeah.
That's all he had for me. If you got something better, I'll sign it.
Right.
And we don't have any. We got nothing.
Well, now we do. We got the Hyperloop. We got lots of things that are better. We got lots of things that are better.
That was a Hyperloop that last half hour.
Matt Reardon showed the Munster Town Council something better last week, and they shut him down because they said it would be too much traffic. But guess what? It wouldn't be too much traffic if you didn't have a train station on the other end of Harrison.
Did you mention that to Matt Reardon?
I did not.
Part of Reardon.
I did not. But eliminate the train station, put in the industrial park. You got 2,000 jobs, $100 million in tax revenue, taxable property. Everybody's happy.
Right on, folks. We got ball. We got